All right, my friends, today we are going to talk about the UAD Spark plugin package. What does it have? Who is it for? Is it worth the investment? Let's get into it.
At McRae Music.
Okay, my friends, how are you doing? I am richly blessed. Pray that you are as well. All right, Universal Audio is well known for its plugins, especially in the sense of its modeling of analog hardware, compressors, EQs, reverbs, all different kinds of things. It's kind of their claim to fame. It is what they are known for. The problem with UAD plugins is that they are inherently, notoriously expensive. Like, that ain't cheap. Now, there's good reason for this. Part of the reason for this is because of the quality of the modeling that's going on. Another reason for this is because of the fact that our Universal Audio plugins are using hardware-based DSP, or digital signal processing, which has notoriously been another kind of issue with Universal Audio. The plugins were very exclusive. You had to have Universal Audio hardware. You had to be on a Mac, right? So it's very exclusive. Now, over the past couple years, Universal Audio has addressed that by introducing native plugins. These are versions of their classic plugins that run natively on your computer, meaning you do not have to have Universal Audio hardware. You do not have to use that DSP. It can run using your regular CPU on your computer through your DAW, right? Also, with the advent of UA Connect, they have made these plugins available not only to Mac users, but to Windows users as well. So if you're a Windows user, rejoice. Right? We might need to have a conversation about why you're using Windows for audio stuff. That seems like it's a lot of work, but whatever. If that's what you have access to and that's what you're using, go for it, right? So you can access those plugins there as well. And they introduced a plugin package called UAD Spark, which is what all of this is wrapped up in, right? And UAD Spark is their monthly or yearly subscription service where you can have access to all of their plugins and any new plugins that they introduce as a part of UAD Spark. Very common thing. We see that with Slate Digital. We see that with other plugin subscription services. Initially, on the release of UAD Spark, it honestly just did not have a lot, right? Because it was new. You had a few plugins, not a lot of stuff. So I didn't feel like it was worth me really talking much about then. But now, fast forward quite some time later, they actually have added a lot of plugins. So I want to show you UAD Spark. I want us to take a look at the plugins that are being offered through UAD Spark. I'll talk about which plugins I use. Spoiler alert, of course, I obviously have a UAD Spark subscription to be able to show you this and talk about it. So I'll talk about my use of it, what plugins I use, what plugins maybe I don't use, and we'll talk about who I think this subscription package is for and who maybe this subscription package is not for. Before we take a look at UAD Spark, please feel free to leave a like on this video. Please feel free to subscribe to this channel so that you can know when new videos are coming out. And let's jump over and take a look at UAD Spark. All right, guys, let's take a look at UAD Spark and what it has to offer. And then I'll talk about what I use and my feelings about it and who I think this is ideally for, okay? So I have the UA Connect app open right now. This is the app that you would download and install in order to access your plugins, in order to run Luna. If you're running Luna or anything Universal Audio, right, you're gonna get UA Connect. So once you set up your subscription or what have you, you would go and they would give you the install package for that. And you would do that, right? I'm on a Mac right now. If you're on Windows, it's going to be the same application, okay? So if we look here, I'm looking at my UAD plugins. This is specifically going to show me my UADX plugins, all right? So let's look at what we got here. So we got some new releases up here. They recently released the Top Line Vocal Suite. To be honest, not a huge fan of that, but I'm biased because I don't really care for those all-in-one kind of vocal suite packages that have, you know, everything in one plugin like EQ and compression and effects and all that kind of stuff. I'm just personally not a fan of those. So you might find some use for that. There are some guitar amps here. They've recently added the SSL channel strip and the SSL bus compressor. Nowadays, you can get those a lot of other places, but if you don't have that, that's cool that those are there. All right, so let's get down into the different categories of things UAD Spark has. First of all, we have channel strips and preamps, which are cool. You have some API stuff in here, Manly stuff, Neve. Now, these are, again, the UAD Spark plugins. These do not work with console, right? If I pull up console, which I've actually got sitting down here, I can't use these plugins in console, meaning I cannot track with these through console. All right, so I just want to be clear on that. That's not a negative thing. That's just what it is, right? If you want to be able to use these plugins, like see how I've got these plugins sitting over here. If I enable these, I got these plugins on my vocal chain when I'm using my desk mic for like voiceovers and stuff like that, right? These are actual UAD plugins, the traditional ones that work with the hardware, all right? So notice none of my UADX stuff is showing up over here. My Unison, right? If you want to track through the Unison plugins, you have to go and get the actual Universal Audio Apollo plugins for that, right? So just want to be clear on that. But these are here. That's really cool. If you wanted to use those channel strips, that is great. Now, a bunch of compressors and limiters, right? The 1176 classic compressor, right? We've got the 3 different versions or iterations of that. That's cool. We have the API, some capital stuff, the distressor, right? Some common compressors in here. The Fairchild 660 and 670 compressors are here. The LA2A, right? So common, again, hard modeling of classic analog compressors are here. And I use some of these. These work well. They sound great. And it's great. I honestly, because I have the 1176 and the LA2A. I have the Apollo version, and then I also have these with the UAD Spark. I personally can't really tell the difference sonically between them. They all sound just as good, right? Again, the difference is my CPU is processing these, whereas from using the Apollo ones, the DSP inside of my hardware is processing that. But the sound-wise, I can't tell a difference, all right? It all sounds really great. We have some delay and modulation plugins, right? These are cool. We have a Brigade chorus. I use that. If you watch any of my mixing videos, you've probably seen me use this. We got some delays. The classic Lexicon 224 digital reverb. I use that. Studio D chorus. I've used that. We have a rotary speaker. All good stuff in here. All right, we have some EQ. We have the Hitsville EQ collection. I have used these. I love the sound of these. I like these when I really want to just focus in on a specific frequency and deal with it as opposed to being able to choose what I want. This gives us predefined frequency points, and so that has been useful for me in certain applications. We have our Manly here. I haven't used those yet. I want to explore those. And then we have the Pultec. I haven't used these because I use the Apollo version, but I would imagine that these sound just as good. All right. Then we have some instruments in here. If you are producing, right? This is really cool. And these are, of course, going to show up. All these plugins are going to show up in all your DAWs. All right. So if you've been following me, you know I use Logic Pro for MIDI production and tracking. And I love these plugins. I have used pretty much all of these except for the Ravel Grand Piano. I haven't used that because I'm like really into Keyscape, but I'm sure it sounds amazing. The Electra 88 vintage keys, to be honest, was a little glitchy at first, at least for me. It would take a long time for the plugins to load, and then the velocity was all over the place where you would play and the velocity would spike and it'll be weird. So I just didn't use it for a while. I recently went back to it and it works great. All right, so that's cool. The Moog Mini Moog synth, oh, I absolutely love that. The Opal morphing synth, I've used that. The Polymax, if you want some like classic like 90s sounding, 80s sounding stuff, there's some really cool things in there. The Waterfall B3 organ. I don't know Logic. I have been a staunch Logic B3 plugin guy, but this waterfall sounds it's amazing. I actually have found myself reaching for this in recent times, needing organ as opposed to the Logic organ, which that's saying a lot because I really love the Logic organ. So check this out. The Waterfall B3 is cool. All right, then we have reverbs in here. And this, oh my goodness, I love the reverbs that are in here. I feel like you have pretty much everything you need right in here, right? We have Capitol Chambers, and these are modeling different, like famous studios, famous rooms. Capitol Chambers, great. Hitsville Reverb Chambers, really great. You want nice, big, dark, dense reverb. This is really cool. Pure Plate, I actually just used this on a mix that I was working on this week. Great for nice subtle plate reverb, or of course we can exaggerate it. My favorite is the Sound City Studios. Oh my goodness, I'll probably do a whole video just breaking that down. Really, really, really amazing room plugin, all right? And you can actually add a chamber to it as well, but that is fantastic. So I probably, out of all the plugins in here, I probably use the reverbs from this package the most, right? Because they're really cool. All right, and then lastly, we have tape and saturation, right? And we have the Studer tape, we have oxide tape, right? Different tape and saturation plugins that we can use, right? So this is cool. You pretty much have every type of plugin that you would need, right? If you did not have any plugins and you were looking for a package that's going to give you everything, this is going to do just that, right? Now, out of all these things here, I mainly use, to be honest, I use the compressors a little bit. I have, and often, there's different iterations. So like I said, I have the Apollo version of the 1176. I have, Slate has versions of that, the 1176. Slate has versions of the Distressor. So I've used these. They compare very well. They play good. So a little bit of the compressors. I use the delays and modulations a lot, especially the Brigade Chorus. I really found myself liking that. I did not have a strong chorus chorus plugin, and this is giving me exactly what I need. Studio D Chorus is cool as well. The EQs, I use the Hitsville. I haven't used the others. The Pultec I use on my mix bus, but I'm using the Apollo version of that. And I found myself really leaning on these instruments and these reverb plugins, right? For me personally, okay? So, who is this plugin package for? All right, first of all, if you, again, do not have a plugin package, if you don't have plugins and, you want a plugin package that's going to give you everything that you need, this is going to do that. Now, there is, because these are modeling actual analog plugins, there is a bit of a learning curve with some of these, right? When you start getting into, the 1176s and some of these EQs and things like that, you will find a bit of a learning curve with just kind of learning your way around the structure of things, learning your way around the modeling of the hardware, how the different knobs work, right? Because they work different, right? The 1176 has similar elements, but works differently than the Distressor, right? So there's a bit of a learning curve there, as opposed to if you just had like a stock plugin package in like Pro Tools or Logic, where, it's very generic, very straightforward, a little bit more user-friendly. These are modeling actual hardware, so you would have to learn the sounds of them. They sound different, they do different stuff. So there's a bit of a learning curve there. But if you're looking for a plugin package that gives you everything, this will give you that, okay? So that's the first person that this is for. Secondly, if you are primarily a Luna user, you are going to want to get this package because Luna does not come with any stock plugins, all right? Which is the one downside to using Luna. Now, I'm not sure, let me rephrase that. It doesn't come with like a robust stock plugin package. I've had Universal Audio for a while, since 2017. So there are certain plugins that I got when I got my Apollo Twin. I'm not sure if you are a new Luna user, if what they actually give you. But I know there is no like robust stock plugin package like you would see in Pro Tools or especially in Logic. Logic Pro has the best stock plugin package in my humble opinion, all right? But anyway, if you're a Luna user, you're going to want this because it's going to give you all of the plugins that you need. And of course, it's all universal audio, so it's all going to play really nice and work well together, okay? The third person that this package is for is if you are really into analog modeling, right? You really want an analog sound. You really are trying to emulate certain consoles, certain hardware, and you really want that sound in your mixes and in your production, then this is going to be the package for you as well, okay? So overall, good plugin package. All right. I have found myself, like I said, leaning towards some of these plugins more and more. So I definitely would recommend this. If you already have a plugin package, so who is this not for? This is maybe not for you if you already have a solid plugin package, a solid plugin subscription. You might not need this. It's not necessarily giving you things that you can't find elsewhere in regards to like models of 1176s and LA2As. You might already have some of those things. There are some things in here you can't get other places, right? Like especially these reverbs over here, right? You might want to check that out. But if you already have like a solid package, if you already are bought into the Slate Digital plugin package or Waves or, some other package, right? And you're like, I'm good. You might not need this, but I would still recommend checking it out. All right, as usual, I like to take you to the actual website and I like to talk about the actual prices of the plugins. Avert your eyes because the standalone versions of these plugins are expensive because that's what Universal Audio does, as I said in the introduction, right? So if you want these plugins standalone, you can get them, but you're gonna drop like $150, $200 and upwards for most of these plugins. All right, it's not cheap. When you're looking through, so for example, the Sound City Studios, that one reverb, you're gonna spend $174 for that. You will own it outright. Now this right here, it does show as it being half off. It's normally $350, so you kind of get what you get if you're getting these standalone. All right, now let's take a look at the price for our UAD Spark subscription. All right, if you are a new user, right now you can get celebrate the launch of new plugins on the UAD Spark now for $99 a year. You can go ahead and grab this. That is a really good deal. $100 for the whole year for your subscription package. You would get all the plugins that I just showed you. Again, the advantage of this is it's going to run natively on Mac or Windows. You don't need any UAD hardware. You don't have to use Luna. You can use these plugins anywhere, which is true for any of the other plugins as well, by the way. But anyway, it's going to have all the things, right? All the stuff I just showed you, it's all going to be there, right? So it's $99 for the year. If you are doing it monthly, let's hit claim my offer and see what it gives me. It's going to make me put in an email and stuff, so I'm not going to do all of that. Take my word for it. It is $19.99 a month. All right. So if you want to do it for the year, it's $99 for the year. Monthly, it is $19.99. So $20 a month. Not terrible. Again, if you already have a plugin subscription or several, you might not want to add another one to it. But if you don't have that, that is a very, very common, very competitive entry price for a plugin subscription. At $20 a month is not bad. So it's very accessible in my opinion. Okay, so I hope that that was helpful for you. As usual, before you upgrade, before you invest, right, it's just $20 a month, but that adds up, all right? That adds up, right? So, before we invest in things, right, make sure it's something that you actually need. Make sure, maybe try it for a little bit, see if you like it, whatever the case might be. But I hope that this video has been helpful for you. Please feel free to leave comments in the comment section. Are you using UAD Spark? What plugins are you using? What do you like about it? What don't you like about it? Are you using Luna? Would you like to see more videos about Luna? on this channel. You've seen me using it, but would you like more comprehensive videos dealing specifically with Luna? Let me know. I always like talking to you guys, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in another video.